I've been working on this pose called Parsvottanasana, and they call it split leg pose. The back foot's turned out 45 degrees, the front foot is turning towards the front edge of the mat. And if people have tighter hips or hamstrings, they can swing this back leg out a little bit more. A lot of people, this is old school teaching where they had their hands on their hips and they would just crank it to the front of the mat. And whenever you just crank from the hips and you're not actually activating the feet and the legs, you're going to torque your spine. It's not going to be a good place for your spine to launch upward out of. So instead, what I do is I focus on, instead of the torque of the hip to the spine, I work from the ground up, as I usually do in my standing poses. So I'll lift and spread the toes to get my arches activated. I have really flat feet. So lift and spread the toes, lift the arch, squeeze the shin in, and from there I just work on my Tadasana leg. If you look really closely at the back leg, that leg is in Tadasana. And if I were just to bring this leg back, nothing has changed. So as long as I keep that Tadasana leg nice and pure, then I turn this foot to face forward, and I'm good. My kneecap is facing the same direction as my toes. Now with that leg in a pure Tadasana, now all I do is turn my heart to face the front of the room instead of turning my hip with it. So I squeeze the buttock, I push my thigh back, I've got my arch lifted, make sure I don't hyperextend my knee, I like to do that. And then I turn my chest to face my big toe. And once I'm there, I bring my hands down to the block. So it takes the cranking out of the hips, makes my spine come out of my hips more purely, and it actually creates a more dynamic position in my whole body, all because of the alignment of the back leg. And I can take the outer hip back on the right, lift my chest forward, draw my ribs up, and then fold. And I like to walk my hands back towards my back foot. And then I can look at my nice Tadasana leg while I'm there. Come on out. So this is why I tell my students Tadasana is the template for all standing poses. I use that Tadasana leg and my back leg in Parsvottanasana.
I really appreciate that, because one thing, the kind of old school idea of turning the pelvis, it treats the pelvis as if it's one unit, right, and as if it's a block, when really the two sides of the pelvis don't even connect, you know, and then the sacrum, the spine's in between, and it's important to relate to them in different ways.
Right.
And then the Tadasana leg that you do, can you talk a little bit more about the lift and the arches in the feet? Because for so many of us, the feet are really the foundation of the pose, and the refinement and detail there is endless and really important.
Absolutely. Because I have flat feet, I've worked with this for a long time. In fact, my feet were so flat I couldn't sit cross-legged for more than like 10 seconds without pain in my knee. 20 years later, almost, I've been working with this for a long time. So I like to lift and spread my toes, have my feet underneath my hip sockets, and I see my arches and my hip sockets are above each other. Then with my hands on my hips, I sit my buttocks back and I take a lifted toe chair. And when I do that, it exposes the four corners of the feet, and lifting of the arch also helps protect the knee joint. And as I sit back a little bit more, I feel my legs and my feet working a lot harder. This is one way to get the arches to lift, is to lift the toes. And so when I come out of it, and then I go back into the pose, I can lift my toes, and as soon as I lift my toes, my ankle comes more in line over my arch, and it doesn't drop. If your back arch drops, your inner knee is going to drop and twist into the medial side of your knee and can tear your meniscus. So it's definitely a good idea to work from the ground up and start from nice, strong, domed arches.
Excellent. That's a great exercise for the arches.
Yeah.